Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine, and this week we're hearing about great fishing in Wachusett Reservoir. We're hearing about awesome tog fishing across the region. We're hearing that sea bass and cod fishing out south and east of Block Island continues to impress. And there's still striped bass in the Cape Cod Canal. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
So I got a couple things I need to tell you guys before we get started. The first one is that the magazine is now going to be available for PDF download on our website. That's for subscribers only, but you go on, you sign in, then you click on the link for whatever issue you want to look at. This only goes back a couple issues to start with, but it's going to go indefinitely into the future. And you'll see that there's a flipbook view link and there's a download PDF link. Click on the PDF download, it will begin automatically. And then you can do with it what you want. You can save it on an external hard drive. You can print out your favorite articles, 3-hole punch them and put them in a binder. Or you can print the whole thing out and wallpaper your bedroom. I don't know. But a lot of guys have been asking for it. And you asked and we delivered. The other thing I need to tell you guys is that this report is now available as a podcast. So you can go on iTunes, search for the Fisherman magazine, and you can listen to me talk instead of having to look at my face. You can send me through the Bluetooth in your car and listen to me while you drive to work, or you can put your headphones in and pretend you're working in your cubicle while you're actually catching up on what's going on in the New England fishing scene. But either way, check us out on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and listen in. And this is the first week in a long time where an Albie report really isn't necessary. I'm just doing it as a formality at this point because I'm declaring the Albie season pretty much dead. You might find a stray school off of South County. You probably will find a couple of small pods out in the Western Sound. But overall, the Albies have moved on for the season, and at this point, I'm just polishing my epoxy jigs and looking forward to next year. In Massachusetts, a lot of striper guys are hanging up the rods this week. I talked to James Jukes up on the North Shore, and he said he made his last surf cast of the week, of the year, this week, because, with the dwindling numbers of schoolies that are around up there, it hasn't really been worth it. He's moved over to freshwater. And that's been pretty much the story as you move down from the North Shore through Boston and all the way just about to the Canal. When you get to Scusset Beach and Sandy Neck and the east end of the Canal, it changes. A lot of bait there. There's been mackerel there. There's been peanut bunker there. And there's mantis shrimp there. Here's a picture of a mantis shrimp for reference. And they call those mantis shrimp thumb splitters for a reason. You don't want to pick those things up because they can put a hurting on you. But they also are fueling some great fishing along with the other bait fish. And so the nighttime guys have been doing really well on slender swimmers like SP minnows, like hydro minnows, like redfins. In the daylight, it's been a topwater thing out there. So your guys are getting them on smaller pencils, you're getting them on little poppers and spooks like a top knock. And then bucktails have also been getting some work done. Inside the canal, same thing. It's been, these fish are on the smaller side. They've been classified as medium to large schoolies. So say 23 to 28 inches. Every now and then there's a slot fish in the mix. And but inside the canal, it's been mostly paddle-tailed jigs, but these fish are popping up on the surface at times. So you guys are getting them on pencil poppers, they're getting them on swimmers. But there's no telling how long this is going to last. And if you're looking to get your last licks in at the canal, I would do it sooner than later because this could all end at any time. Out on the Cape itself, striper fishing has really just kind of gone dead. Not a lot of guys have even been trying. I know there's a few estuaries out there that have holdover populations. Those would be a good place to look right now. But by and large, not a lot of striper fishing going on in Cape Cod. Buzzards Bay is a different story. A lot of the harbors, Marion Harbor, Mattapoisett Harbor, New Bedford Harbor, a lot of those areas are going to have some schoolies in them. Out in the bay itself, you're going to find some schools of larger stripers, fish even up into the 20-pound range. It's mostly a surf fishing game right now, and it's mostly a nighttime game. But it's that time of year when you could classify surf fishing as a grind, but sometimes the grind is worth it. The other saltwater species that are still getting a lot of interest in mass is the tautog, and that's mostly a Buzzards Bay and Elizabeth Islands thing, and there's far fewer boats doing it right now, but the bite's still good. Still a lot of shorts, but plenty of keepers, and still getting some nice fish mixed in. The water temps have dropped a little bit, so you're fishing a little deeper. You might want to start around 35 feet or so and keep pushing out until you find those fish. But I still wouldn't rule out the shallow water fishery entirely, because the water's still fairly warm for mid-November. So that fishery is still viable and very good. And then, as I sort of alluded to in the intro, a lot of guys are migrating to freshwater. Wachusett Reservoir has been very good this week. We're hearing about nice smallmouth, great lake trout fishing, and some good rainbow trout fishing as well. James Jukes was out there with his buddy Clay. Here he is with a rainbow. And Wachusett's just been very productive. Out on the Cape, the bass fishing's been very good. Talked to James Trask, and he said that he and his brother were out popping around some of the bigger ponds on the Cape that have smallmouth in them, and they did very well. This is that time of year when you want to throw jigs and jerk baits and Ned rigs and blade baits. And this is going to continue right into December. So the smallmouth fishing is starting to get very good, and it's only going to get better from here. Over in Rhode Island, the striper fishing is still very good. It's mostly a western part of the state thing. So South County beaches have been productive. I have some theories as to why. I think, you just have a lot. That area has a lot to offer a migrating striper. We have Point Judith, which is a good land obstacle. You got the Harbor of Refuge, which is the first official breachway injecting bait into the area. Then you got Ninigret Pond. Then you have Charlestown Breachway. Then you got Quaney. Then you got Weekapaug. And all these inlets are just pumping bait into the area, keeping the water probably a little bit warmer too, as that sun-warmed water rushes out a couple times a day. And so this area holds a lot of fish late in the season. Most of the fish right now, especially in the daytime, are schoolies, but you still have a legitimate shot at getting a nice fish, a fish 40 inches or more. Most of these fish are going to be caught at night. Most of them are going to come from the breachways, but guys slinging eels off of the rocks are going to get their share of them as well. It's just a matter of putting in the time at this point, because it's not it's not that time of the year when you can feel like you got a good shot at getting a good fish every night. You have to be willing to put the time in, endure a few skunks to stick that last good one of the year, but it's a great time of the year to find a good fish. Albies are pretty much gone, but you might find a few in that same area, especially further west. Watch Hill, Weekapaug area, you might find one last school of albies. Same could be said for bluefish. I haven't really heard of many blues in Rhode Island, but that's the area I would look if I was looking for them. Tautog fishing, on the other hand, in Rhode Island continues to be awesome. We're still seeing lots of nice fish taken. Newport area, Point Judith area, and then all along South County. It doesn't really matter. Water temps have come down, so this fish are getting a little bit deeper. You might want to start at 35 feet. But still, don't rule out shallower water, because the temperatures really are still close to that zone where they might be shallower. But fishing's been good. I didn't hear about any really big ones from Rhody this week, but plenty of fish in that 7 to 8, maybe even 9 pound range. It's been an awesome year for tog. Didn't hear about any inland fishing in Rhode Island this week. Couple of largemouth bass reports from guys, but it's been good on the Cape. There's no reason to think that it wouldn't be good in Rhode Island as well. And the last thing that guys are doing is heading out to Block Island. South and east of Block, always going to be good at this time of the year for codfish and black sea bass. I will say it seems like the cod fishing is a little bit better than normal right now. So, if you get a nice day and you got the day off, it might be a good time to hop on the Yankee Fleet or head over into Niantic and jump on the Black Hawk and go out on one of these block trips, because you're going to come home with a lot of fish for the freezer, and you're going to have a good time doing it. And that's a story that I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. And last but not least, we're going to move over into Connecticut, where the striped bass fishing is a little bit better than what you're finding in Rhode Island. The eastern end of the state has been mostly small fish. So the Thames, the Niantic River, and then even heading out toward the Connecticut River, it's been mostly schoolies. Actually been pretty decent though, and there are some slot fish mixed in, and you never know. But out by the Connecticut River, it starts to get a little bit better. It has tempered some. We had a phenomenal bite going on there for most of October and into early November, but that's kind of cooled down. Still schoolies in the area, still some nice fish though too. You still got a shot at breaking 30 pounds, maybe even 35. But if I had to look for a big one, I would head way west. I would fish somewhere between Milford, Norwalk, and the New York border, in that range there. The migration was described to me as at peak in that area last week, and it doesn't seem like it's slowed down really at all. So, there's fish that are moving up into the Housatonic. You got a good shot at finding some fish around the Hoosie. All around the Norwalk Islands has got fish right now, and then, further west from there. The thing is, you got to be prepared for anything. So these fish are taking a lot of different methods, so you just need to be ready. You got to have your big top waters like splash walks and docks. You got to have your snag hooks and circle hooks ready in case you come across fish that are on bunker. And you got to be willing to save the day too. Bring some small stuff. Go up and throw little top waters into the rocks to catch some slots and schoolies. Or head out deep and diamond jig for some big bluefish and the occasional big bass. You got to be willing to improvise, but actions has been very good for bass out that way, and that's the best place in the state to look for some big bluefish as well. Tog fishing is a different story. Togging's been really good from, say, the Clinton Walls all the way to the Thames. And it's still very good west of there too. It's just if you're looking for big ones, that's the region you want to focus on. Water temps came down a little bit, so you do want to focus a little deeper, start at 30 feet or so. But just last week alone, we had over a half dozen 10-pound plus tog reported in the reports, and that's continued. Still really nice fish being taken when the weather allows. And it's not just giants either. The numbers of keepers and limits that we're hearing about over the last 7 to 8 days has been really great in Connecticut. And if you've been holding off for whatever reason on blackfishing, it seems like we're kind of reaching a pinnacle for bigger fish right now, so don't wait any longer. And the season closes on the 28th, so you got to make it happen. Whether you've been going every week or every day or you haven't gone yet, the clock is ticking. You got to get out there and make this happen, and the fishing's been phenomenal. Sea bass fishing been about the same as it's been. The fish are maybe moving a little bit deeper. You might be starting around 50 feet or so, but that central zone, say go from like Goshen Reef over to Southwest and then go straight out from there. That's been the area where I'm hearing about the best results. And there's been, some nice fish. There's been a lot of those 3 to 4 pound fish, and then River's End last week weighed in a fish over 6 pounds. So there's some good ones around, and that fishery is still viable and still going strong. Inland, we're hearing about good trout fishing in the Farmington and the Mill River and the Salmon River, the Norwalk River, the Saugatuck River. All these areas are producing well. Saw one freak rainbow taken by Evan Camone here. And that's maybe not indicative of what's been happening, but it shows that guys are out trying. And if you're sitting at home wondering whether you should go fishing, the answer is yes. All these rivers are producing fish. The TMAs are producing fish, and they're going to continue to produce. So make it happen. Don't sit inside and think about the cold. Layer up and go out there and catch some fish. And that's the story that I have for you guys in Connecticut this week. And the last thing we're going to talk about is what's going on in the Dreamboat competition. Take it away, Tim.
And here are the Dreamboat standings. The Dreamboat Challenge approaches its final stretch. Joseph Yam's latest entry with a 4.74 pound sea bass puts him into first place by adding 4 more points to his total, landing him as the current leader. There is still plenty of time to enter your catch. Check the Dreamboat standings online each week as we approach the last day to catch a fish, which is November 30th. Good luck. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new Steiger Craft Center console powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Subscribe now to the Fisherman magazine to be part of the action.
And that's what we got for you guys this week in the reports. Hopefully you'll find them helpful. Things are winding down a little bit, but it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. So get out there this weekend and make it happen. And we'll check in with you guys next week. Don't forget, if you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, head over to the website. Check out what we have to offer. We cover everything from Delaware up to Maine. We get articles that cover everything in between. We have reports that tell you where and when to fish for many, many species. And if you're just watching here on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please give us a subscribe, give me a like, and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.